Welcome to 21st Century Dating Decoded. We're making modern love simple. Get ready to decode your love life. Brought to you by Mingle.
It's wild. Right now, if you order like a $5 toothbrush online,
Yeah.
you can track its journey from a warehouse in Ohio to your welcome mat with absolute military-grade precision.
Literally watching a little blue dot on a map.
Exactly. You get a notification when it hits the regional sorting facility. You watch it inch closer to your street. And for the grand finale, you get a high-definition photo of that tiny cardboard box sitting right there on your porch.
Complete visibility.
Right. Total visibility. Complete control over, a piece of plastic with bristles. But take that exact same expectation of transparency and apply it to our social lives. Specifically, the modern dating scene.
Oh, the whole system just collapsed.
Completely collapses.
Yeah.
We demand GPS tracking for a toothbrush, yet we willingly hand over our credit card information, our personal emails, our phone numbers, and honestly, our precious Friday nights to completely untraceable dating event organizers.
Anonymous digital ghosts, basically. We just outsource our personal safety and our romantic hopes to them.
Yes. And the reason this massive paradox exists right now is tied directly to a huge shift in consumer behavior.
Right. The data in our stack of sources today points to a real breaking point with dating apps.
Because the promise of the last decade was that algorithms could just, solve human connection.
Which didn't happen.
Not at all. Instead, the gamification of swiping, the endless dopamine loops of messaging with zero real-world follow-through, and just general digital friction.
It's exhausted people. The consumer is totally burned out.
So they are flooding back to in-person events, which is exactly our mission for this deep dive. Welcome in, by the way.
Glad to be here for this one. It's a huge topic.
It really is. And if you're listening right now, you've probably felt that exact sinking feeling, standing outside a bar in Midtown Atlanta, checking your phone.
Wondering if the event you just paid $20 for even exists.
Right. Or if you're about to just walk into a crowded room of strangers by yourself with absolutely zero structure. So today, we are taking a massive stack of sources. We've got event listings, corporate FAQ pages, industry transcripts, and local dating playbooks.
All to map out the rapidly evolving and honestly incredibly chaotic world of in-person singles events.
And we are focusing heavily on Atlanta, Georgia, because it's become this ultimate testing ground for the shift.
It really has.
So our goal is to extract a bulletproof vetting playbook to protect your time, your money, and your privacy. We're going to look at the opportunistic pop-ups and contrast them with highly structured, legitimate operations.
Operations that are actually trying to build real infrastructure for connection.
Exactly, because Atlanta is kind of the perfect microcosm for this, right?
Oh, absolutely. The city is sprawling, heavily car-dependent, and just packed with young professionals.
Right, you can't just bump into people on the subway like you might in New York.
No, you have to be intentional. And whenever you have a massive consumer shift away from one technology like dating apps, you get a booming new economy trying to fill the void.
Nature abhors a vacuum.
Exactly. The statistics we have from pre-dating show a 60% rise in speed dating as people actively ditch the apps.
60%? That's massive.
It's huge. And Kenneth Kintsugi, a holistic relationship specialist over at NextSpark, who analyzes the Atlanta scene.
Oh, I love his quote in the sources.
Yeah, he captures it perfectly. He notes that on any given Thursday in Atlanta, the apps are open less and the rooms are full again.
But people aren't just flocking to traditional speed dating, are they?
No, they're covertly transforming everyday activities into informal dating apps.
Yes, we're seeing this heavily with run clubs, like on the Atlanta Beltline.
Oh, it's the classic example right now.
People are showing up to run a 5K, and let's be real, it's not because they are intensely training for a marathon.
Right, it's because they know the whole group ends up at an East Side brewery afterward.
Exactly. Or the farmers markets at Freedom Park or Grant Park. They're operating the exact same way.
But there's a problem with this organic, informal approach.
The intent is totally unstated.
Exactly. You might approach someone at a watch party or a run club, but...
They might be married.
Right, or they might just genuinely be there to run.
God forbid someone actually wants to buy organic kale at the farmer's market.
Exactly. So the intense desire to meet someone face-to-face, combined with the ambiguity, these informal spaces, it creates this massive vulnerability.
People are craving a space where everyone's intent is clear.
And that vulnerability is precisely what opportunistic, fly-by-night event organizers prey upon.
Okay, let's look at the anatomy of that trap.
Right.
Because our sources highlight a very specific example operating in Atlanta right now.
The antisocial speed dating event.
Yes. So there's this event heavily advertised on ticketing platforms. The organizer is listed as Elite Encounters, which, according to the sources, is tied to a parent company called Sage Corporate Solutions, Inc.
Catchy names, very corporate sounding.
It's very official. And they are hosting this event at Sports and Social at the Battery. Now, if you live in Atlanta, you know the Battery.
No, it's huge.
It's a massive, highly trafficked, totally legitimate entertainment complex right outside the Braves Stadium.
Right, and the venue name acts as a cloaking device here.
How so?
Well, a consumer sees the Battery and automatically transfers the legitimacy of that multi-million-dollar multi-use venue onto this random event organizer.
Ah, I see. Guilt by association, but in a good way for the scammer.
Exactly. But looking at the business structure of Elite Encounters reveals what I call the digital toll booth model.
The digital toll booth. Okay, unpack that.
They have absolutely no dedicated website. Zero. Their entire digital footprint is parasitic. It exists solely on Eventbrite.
Wow. So they are just piggybacking on a third-party ticketing platform to process payments. That's all they are doing. Okay, let's unpack this. If they are just selling tickets to Sports and Social, which is a place literally anyone can walk into on a Friday night.
Right, it's a public bar.
How are they getting away with charging an entry fee? What is the attendee actually buying for $15?
They are buying the illusion of structure.
The illusion.
Yeah. The event listing is packed with these vague, buzzword-heavy promises. Things like interactive challenges and thought-provoking questions.
It sounds so official.
It does. But the reality is this organizer brings zero actual value to the venue and zero social infrastructure to the attendees.
So they aren't renting out a back room.
Nope. They haven't rented a private room. They haven't hired a trained host to facilitate introductions.
Wait, there's no matching system.
They haven't instituted a matching algorithm to ensure you actually get the contact info of people you connect with. Nothing.
That is insane. So they are literally just setting up a digital toll booth outside a public space?
Collecting $15 a head.
And letting people fend for themselves in a crowded bar. I'm trying to picture the logistics of this. If I buy a ticket, I show up to a massive sports bar on a Friday. The staff at Sports and Social likely has no idea this quote-unquote company is even operating on their floor.
They probably don't.
So I'm just wandering around a public bar trying to figure out who else bought a ticket to this invisible event.
Pretty much. You're just looking around for other confused people holding a drink.
And if you complain, like
Yeah.
if you realize it's a sham and want your money back.
Good luck. Their refund policy on Eventbrite explicitly states no refunds under any circumstances.
Of course it does.
You have zero recourse because the company doesn't actually exist in any tangible physical way.
That shifts the burden entirely onto the consumer, which is so unfair. If there are entities out there basically acting as digital phantoms, siphoning money with zero accountability, we need a mechanism to identify them before hitting buy.
Right, before it's too late.
And the sources provide a deep dive transcript literally titled, How to Vet Your Dating Events. This is crucial. This needs to be our baseline. So how do we build this defense mechanism?
We have to implement what the sources outline as the digital ghost test.
The digital ghost test, I like that.
Yeah. You cannot rely on a flashy event graphic or a popular venue name. You just can't. You have to vet the organizer by looking for points of friction that scammers refuse to engage with.
Okay, what's the first point of friction?
Digital real estate. A legitimate business builds a dedicated website.
Okay, that makes sense.
If an organizer's only existence is a page on Eventbrite or Meetup or just a generic Instagram account, they fail the first test.
Because scammers don't want to pay for hosting and domain registration.
Exactly, or website maintenance. They plan to disappear and rebrand under a new name the minute they get too many negative reviews. A real website ties them down.
That's a great point. And the sources take that a step further into the professional ecosystem. They recommend checking for a Google business profile with actual readable reviews.
Real reviews, not just 5-star bots.
Right. And more importantly, a LinkedIn company page. I imagine fly-by-night operations avoid LinkedIn entirely.
Oh, absolutely. LinkedIn requires you to tie your professional identity, your resume, your actual network to the company.
Scammers hate that.
Real businesses want to be found. Ghosts want to remain anonymous.
Okay, but the most revealing test, and this is wild to me, involves the highest level of psychological friction for a scammer.
The phone number?
The phone number. A functional business phone number. The vetting playbook insists that before you give a company your credit card, You find their phone number and call it.
And you weren't looking for a generic voicemail box attached to some burner cell phone.
No. You are looking for a human being representing the company to pick up the phone.
Because speaking to a human requires the scammer to maintain an active front.
Right. It's one thing to silently scrape credit cards via an automated Eventbrite page while you sleep.
It's a completely different cognitive load to answer a phone at 2 p.m. and lie to someone's face about the gender ratio of an event that doesn't even exist.
Yeah, the infrastructure required to maintain a staffed phone line basically destroys the profit margin of a fly-by-night operation.
It does, but the playbook offers an even more devastating tactic, honestly. Bypass the organizer entirely.
Call the venue.
Yes.
This blew my mind when I read it in the sources because it's so beautifully simple. Pick up the phone, call Hudson Grill in Sandy Springs or establishment in Midtown, and ask the floor manager, hey, is a company called Elite Encounters hosting a private event in your space this Tuesday?
The manager's reaction will tell you everything you need to know.
Who? Elite what?
Exactly. Because scammers list popular venues to build false credibility, knowing full well they haven't booked a private room or spoken to management.
They just expect 40 people to show up and swarm the public bar area like a flash mob.
Which is a complete nightmare for the venue staff.
Oh, I'd be so mad if I was the bartender. But losing $20 on a fake event is just the financial side of the trap. Our sources dedicate a massive amount of ink to a much darker consequence of these unvetted pop-ups.
The privacy problem.
Yes, the privacy problem. If you walk into an environment run by a ghost company, you are essentially walking into an unconsented content farm.
It's terrifying. The operational model of a fly-by-night company relies entirely on free marketing for their next scam.
Right, they have no marketing budget.
And the most effective marketing for a dating event is showing a room full of attractive, seemingly happy people mingling.
So these organizers will actively roam the venue, taking personal pictures and videos of the attendees.
Without their explicit, informed consent, they just pan the room with an iPhone.
I cannot imagine the visceral panic of telling your coworkers you have a quiet evening planned, only to show up to work the next day and realize your face is front and center on a public Instagram reel tagged "Desperate Singles in Atlanta."
Oh, it's a total violation.
Or worse, they find your profile and tag you personally to boost their algorithmic reach. It is a terrifying violation of privacy.
A legitimate operation understands that dating requires a foundation of psychological safety.
And discretion.
Discretion is key. The vetting playbook stresses that a real business will have a strict, published privacy policy. They explicitly state their rules up front.
Like what?
No unconsented photos, no recording, no tagging attendees on social media, none of it.
It's just sterile safe space.
Exactly. And furthermore, they protect the back-end data. Your personal email and primary phone number are currency.
Valuable currency.
A real platform will only share that data with mutual matches, securely, through their own portal. They don't just BCC or, God forbid, CC 100 people on an unprotected spreadsheet after the event.
Oh gosh, could you imagine getting a mass email with everyone's contact info?
It happens.
That's awful. But even if you do trust the organizer, the playbook outlines critical operational security rules for the individual attendee. Things you have to do yourself.
Personal safety rules.
Yeah. First, never give out your primary cell phone number during the event.
This is so important.
Set up a free Google Voice number. People forget that you are interacting with individuals you have known for less than 5 minutes.
Right. They are essentially still strangers.
If someone turns out to be unstable or just won't take a hint, you need the ability to burn that number without having to call your carrier and change your actual primary cell service.
It's just a basic firewall for your life.
Exactly. The second rule involves controlling the narrative boundaries during the date itself, because in a typical 3 to 7 minute interaction, people tend to default to career talk.
It's the easiest small talk. What do you do?
Right. But the playbook advises strongly against sharing your specific employer or your exact home neighborhood.
So instead of saying I'm a senior developer at the NCR building in Midtown and I live in the apartment complex right across the street.
Too much detail.
Right. You just say I work in tech or I work in Midtown.
It creates a necessary buffer. And the final rule is purely logistical, but so critical.
Oh.
Always control your own transportation.
Oh, absolutely.
You not rely on someone you just met to drive you to another location for an after party, and do not let a stranger walk you to your car in a dark parking deck if you haven't established a solid baseline of trust.
You have to have your own exit strategy at all times.
But, operating with this level of defensive vigilance, It's exhausting.
It's a lot of mental energy.
Right. If you have to keep your guard up this high just to grab a drink and try to meet someone, it defeats the entire purpose of trying to relax and find a genuine connection.
Which leads us to the crucial pivot in our sources.
Yes, because if Elite Encounters represents the opaque parasitic model, what does the architectural opposite look like?
What does a highly structured, legitimate operation actually look like in practice?
Exactly. And the sources provide a really stark contrast by heavily detailing an organization called Speed Mingle.
Yes, Speed Mingle. If you want a blueprint for a real business in this space, this is the case study to look at.
Okay, let's run them through the digital ghost test we just established. Speed Mingle wasn't incorporated last week to capitalize on some app fatigue trend.
No, they were established back in 2001.
2001. That's pre-Tinder, pre-Bumble, pre-everything.
They've been around the block. They are currently led by a parent company called HRB Universal, LLC, which is based out of Pensacola, Florida.
Okay, so a real corporate entity.
Yeah, and they have a massive established presence in Atlanta and, honestly, across the entire country.
They actually claim to have invented the original 4-minute date concept.
Which is quite the claim to fame. But what separates them isn't just their longevity, it's their actual infrastructure.
Right. They pass the vetting playbook flawlessly. They operate a dedicated, robust platform. Real website.
They publish crystal clear refund policies.
And regarding privacy, their rules strictly prohibit photography and the tagging of attendees. They go out of their way to create that sterile, secure environment we talked about.
You can go to their site and search a massive database for IRL events across dozens of states.
But honestly, the detail in the sources that completely changed my perspective on this entire industry, it isn't how Speed Mingle treats the attendees.
Oh, what is it?
It's how they fundamentally alter the economics of the venue itself.
Yes. This is the operational genius of aligning incentives.
Break that down for us.
Okay, so we established that the fly-by-night model treats the venue as a host to be parasitized, right?
Right. Elite Encounters just ambushes a bar with a disorganized group of 40 singles.
Who might nurse a single tap water for 3 hours because they're too nervous to buy a real drink.
Exactly. And if I'm the floor manager at a nice upscale lounge in Buckhead, that is my literal worst nightmare.
Oh, for sure.
It clogs up my floor space, it annoys my regular high-paying patrons, and it generates zero revenue from my bartending staff who rely on tips to survive.
It's a lose-lose for the venue. But Speed Mingle flips that dynamic completely by approaching the venue as an economic partner.
How do they do that?
They look at a venue's profit and loss statement and identify the dead zones.
The slow nights.
Exactly. Usually a Tuesday or a Wednesday night, the venue is already paying for overhead regardless, right?
Lights are on.
The staff is clocked in, the perishable food inventory is sitting in the kitchen.
Right. They're losing money on a slow Tuesday.
So Speed Mingle approaches management and says, look, we guarantee a surge of 40 to 50 vetted guests who are specifically coming to socialize, eat, and drink.
Wow. That guaranteed influx of capital on an otherwise completely dead night, that completely shifts the power dynamic.
It does. The venue isn't just tolerating the event anymore. They are financially incentivized to ensure it succeeds.
Because the venue wants Speed Mingle to return every single Tuesday.
Exactly. And this means venue management will actively manipulate the physical environment for the event's benefit.
Oh, this is fascinating. Give me examples.
They will dim the lighting to make it more flattering. They will lower the volume of the background music so attendees don't have to literally scream over a heavy bass line just to hear each other.
Which is the worst part of trying to meet someone in a bar.
It really is. And they will staff an extra bartender specifically for the group, so no one is stuck waiting 15 minutes for a drink while trying to mingle.
The environment is engineered for connection rather than chaos.
Yes, the venue becomes an active partner in the dating experience.
And the sources mention that Speed Mingle has refined this process so well over the last 2 decades that they offer franchise and licensing opportunities.
Yeah, they are building a national infrastructure.
Essentially creating a fast food chain model, but for social connection.
Well, the franchise model allows them to maintain strict quality control while scaling locally in different cities.
Okay, wait. Here's where it gets really interesting, but also a bit concerning. Have to challenge the premise here.
Go for it.
A fast food chain model for romance sounds incredibly dystopian to me.
I can see why you'd say that.
Right. If Speed Mingle is guaranteeing these massive surges of guests and franchising out identical event structures across the country like McDonald's, doesn't this run the risk of becoming a romantic assembly line?
The cattle call feeling.
Exactly. Because the primary reason people hated the early iterations of speed dating in the 2000s was that it felt like a cattle call. You sit at a tiny table, a bell rings, you repeat the exact same resume-style facts about yourself 20 times.
Where did you go to school? How many siblings do you have?
Yes. And you leave feeling entirely dehumanized. So how does a massive franchised operation like Speed Mingle prevent that cattle call feeling? How do they avoid turning the individual into just a cog in a dating machine?
That is the central problem of scaling any social business. If you treat human interaction like an industrial process, you strip away the humanity.
Exactly.
You cannot apply a one-size-fits-all structure to human emotion. So Speed Mingle's solution to the assembly line problem is aggressive psychological segmentation.
Aggressive segmentation.
Yeah.
Based on what? Like age brackets, income levels?
No, segmentation based on the individual's fluctuating social battery and nervous system regulation.
Oh, wow, that's deep.
It is. The pandemic fundamentally rewired how we process social stimulation. Forcing everyone into a loud, high-turnover environment for 2 hours is a recipe for a massive cortisol spike if someone is already operating at an energy deficit.
I see exactly what you mean. Looking at their event tiers and the sources, it reminds me of the mechanics of a boutique fitness studio.
How so?
Well, think about how a high-end gym operates. They don't just offer one single type of exercise.
Yeah.
If you wake up on a Saturday morning with a massive surplus of energy, you might book a high-intensity interval training class, right?
Right, a HII class.
It's loud, it's aggressive, the music is pumping, and it's highly structured. But if you just had a grueling 50-hour work week, your central nervous system is completely fried.
You don't want HIIT.
No, you want the quiet, down-regulating environment of a restorative yoga class. Speed Mingle seems to be offering that same structural variety, but for your social nervous system.
That is a perfect analogy. Let's actually analyze their specific event tiers through that exact lens of nervous system regulation.
Let's do it.
Their baseline tier is called Speed Mingle Anywhere.
Okay, this is their digital bi-weekly video event.
Right, so if your social battery is at absolute zero, and the mere thought of putting on formal clothes and sitting in Atlanta traffic on the connector induces a panic attack.
You opt for the video event.
Exactly. The cognitive load is incredibly low. You are in your own home, sitting on your own couch, controlling your own environment.
It provides the highest return on the lowest energy investment. I get that.
Now, on the opposite end of the arousal spectrum, they offer what they call happenings.
Happenings are the big IRL mixers. This is the social equivalent of the HIIT class.
Absolutely. It's designed for extroverts or just individuals seeking a highly dynamic, physically stimulating environment for the night.
It's activity-based, fast-paced, and requires a high level of social stamina.
But what if you find the structured, timed dates too clinical? What if the ringing bell actually triggers anxiety?
What do you do?
They created a tier specifically to bypass that strict structure, and it's simply called social. Ah, okay. The sources describe Speed Mingle Social as weekly, unhosted, low-pressure meetups at local coffee shops or breweries.
Notice the word unhosted. There are no name tags. There's no bell ringing every 4 minutes.
So it's just engineered serendipity.
Exactly. It operates on the exact same frequency as the Beltline Run Club or the Farmer's Market, but it entirely removes the ambiguity.
Because everyone at the brewery meetup is single, they've been vetted, and they are open to connection.
Right, but the environment itself is completely fluid. You grab a drink and naturally gravitate toward whomever you find interesting at your own pace.
Now, if even a fluid group setting is too overwhelming, they have a highly technical tier called One.
This is where they leverage their proprietary technology. One utilizes their algorithmic smart sync system.
So it bypasses the group dynamic entirely.
Completely. The algorithm analyzes your profile, matches you with one specific individual based on shared interests, and curates a highly focused, low-pressure date.
Like just grabbing a coffee. Right. It completely removes the performative aspect of having to work a room.
That's brilliant for introverts.
Yeah.
Now, the last two tiers are fascinating to me because they expand beyond romantic dating entirely. They have a tier called Neighbors.
Neighbors is a really brilliant structural solution to urban isolation.
Because living in a high-rise can be incredibly lonely.
It really can. So they partner directly with apartment building management to host community events within the building itself.
And the intent isn't explicitly romantic, right?
Not at all. It's designed to break the awkward silence in the elevator. It focuses on building platonic community and weaving a local social fabric.
Which ultimately makes the building a more desirable place to live for the tenants.
Exactly. And finally, they apply their methodology to the corporate world with B2B.
Business-to-business networking.
Yeah. Anyone who has attended a standard corporate mixer knows the absolute dread of getting cornered by one person for 45 minutes because there is no socially acceptable exit strategy.
Oh, I've been there. You're just trapped by the cheese plate.
We all have. So Speed Mingle takes their structured, timed format and applies it to professional networking.
Ensuring you actually meet a wide variety of contacts efficiently without getting trapped.
By segmenting the audience so aggressively across all these tiers, they ensure you are only placed in an environment that matches your specific psychological capacity for that given week.
But even if you choose the perfect environment, you still face the terrifying chasm of sitting down across from a total stranger and trying to initiate a conversation.
The blank page problem of dating.
Yes, and the sources dedicate a massive section to how Speed Mingle bridges this gap. And it's through an entire media and gamification ecosystem.
Right. They produce the 21st Century Dating Decoded podcast to educate their base. But more importantly, they manufacture physical tools.
Physical tools?
Yeah, they produce their own 52+2 card game and a physical asset called Mingle Mania Bingo, which they physically deploy at their events.
Okay, I have to stop you there because I'll be honest. When I read about Mingle Mania Bingo in the sources, I cringed.
You did?
Heavily. Playing bingo on a date feels juvenile. It feels like an icebreaker you are forced to do at a mandatory corporate retreat or like summer camp.
I hear that a lot.
Why does a sophisticated 20-year-old dating company need branded bingo cards? It feels like a crutch.
Well, on a superficial level, it absolutely seems like a gimmick. But if you analyze the neurobiology of a first date, gamification is actually an incredibly sophisticated intervention.
Really? Explain that.
Think about the cultural baseline right now. The prolonged isolation of the pandemic, combined with a decade of relying entirely on asynchronous text-based communication on our phones.
Right, texting instead of calling.
It has caused our real-time conversational muscles to completely atrophy. We are collectively out of practice at just talking to people.
Honestly, the mere act of sustaining eye contact feels intimidating now for a lot of people.
Precisely. If you place two strangers at a small table, force them to look into each other's eyes, and mandate that they talk for 4 minutes, the brain perceives that intense focus as a literal threat.
A thrill?
Yes. The amygdala activates, the anxiety spikes, people freeze up or they default to those rapid-fire interview-style questions about jobs and siblings just to fill the agonizing silence.
Just to make the threat go away.
Yeah.
So how does throwing a deck of cards or a bingo board onto the table disrupt that biological threat response?
Gamification acts as an engineered bridge. When you introduce a physical game, you externalize the pressure. The two individuals are no longer staring intensely into each other's souls, desperately trying to generate clever banter from scratch. Their physical gaze and their cognitive focus drops down to the card game on the table.
So it creates a third entity. The interaction is no longer me versus you, it's us versus the game.
Exactly. The game provides a predictable track for the interaction to run on. It supplies built-in conversation starters and shared low-stakes goals.
Like finding out who has a dog or who has traveled to Europe.
Right. And by lowering the cognitive load and shifting the visual focus away from direct eye contact, the central nervous system downregulates.
The anxiety drops.
And ironically, by focusing on a silly bingo game, people actually relax enough to reveal their authentic personalities much faster than they would under the pressure of a direct, intense interrogation.
That makes total sense when you frame it around nervous system regulation. Speed Mingle's approach proves that the physical and psychological structure of an event totally dictates its success.
They aren't just selling a ticket to a room.
No, they are heavily engineering the environment to facilitate human connection. But this methodology shouldn't be exclusive to just one company.
It's not.
If this structural blueprint works, are there other organizations in the broader Atlanta ecosystem applying this level of rigorous engineering to specific dating niches?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Once you understand the underlying mechanics of a legitimate operation, you can identify other companies successfully deploying similar boundaries for totally different demographics.
And our sources provide a really comprehensive map of the Atlanta ecosystem. It highlights several organizations that pass the vetting test while solving very specific structural problems.
Let's build out this map, starting with the absolute highest end of the market.
Okay, so what if you don't want to play a card game? What if you want to entirely outsource the vetting process itself?
That brings us to master matchmakers.
Master matchmakers, let's talk about them.
They represent the premium, high-touch, concierge end of the spectrum. They have 25 years of operational history.
Wow, even older than Speed Mingle.
Yep. And what is fascinating about their model is that they completely reject the algorithmic approach. No apps, no ELO scores. They rely entirely on human intelligence and aggressive vetting by proxy.
The level of screening they do, according to the source, is intense. I mean, they run actual public record criminal background checks on every single client.
Every single one.
They enforce identity verification, rigorous photo validation to ensure the person actually looks like their profile, and they conduct in-depth personal interviews.
Because they are selling a very specific commodity, time and peace of mind.
Right.
Consider a highly successful executive living in Buckhead. Their time is their absolute most scarce resource. They do not want to spend 10 hours a week sifting through unverified app profiles only to discover their date lied about their age or their career.
It's just a waste of time.
So they pay a premium for an expert to curate an introduction to one single person who has already been verified for safety, financial stability, and long-term psychological compatibility.
You're paying for the ultimate filter. But what if your primary obstacle isn't the vetting process, but the intense pressure of a one-on-one date itself?
Like the spotlight effect.
Yes. Even if a high-end matchmaker sets it up, you still have to sit across from one person for 2 hours. It's a lot of pressure. And the sources highlight the 8 at 8 Dinner Club as the structural solution to this exact problem.
Right. 8 at 8 tackles the psychology of the spotlight. Because not everyone is charming on command when a date's entire focus is localized purely on them.
I know I'm not. Their methodology is so elegant, though. They curate private group dinners. They meticulously match exactly 4 single men and 4 single women and place them at a single table at a top-rated Atlanta restaurant at 8:00 p.m.
Hence the name.
Exactly.
And by establishing an 8-person group dynamic, they disperse the conversational pressure.
Right. If there is a lull in your specific conversation with the person next to you, the larger table just absorbs it.
There are no awkward, agonizing silences where you're staring at your water glass. But more importantly, the group dynamic allows you to observe how a potential match interacts with the broader world.
Oh, that's huge.
It is. Watching how someone treats the wait staff or how they listen to another person's story provides vastly more data about their character than a rehearsed monologue on a one-on-one date.
Because they can't hide it in a group setting.
Exactly.
Okay, so 8 at 8 removes the spotlight. But what if you want to eliminate the superficial small talk entirely? What if you want to assess core compatibility before you even know what the person does for a living?
This is a really interesting one. The sources point to Tantra speed date as the mechanism for this.
Tantra speed date. Now, they operate on a completely different physiological premise. They market themselves as yoga for your love life.
I'll be honest, when I first read that, it sounded a bit concerning.
Me too. I immediately thought of some weird cult. But the sources emphasize that the events are strictly PG rated and heavily boundaried.
Very important distinction.
Furthermore, there is absolutely no alcohol involved.
Which removes the crutch most people rely on in these environments.
Completely. Instead, the entire structure is built around deep connection exercises. We're talking guided breathing, light partner yoga, and mindfulness practices.
They are actively down-regulating the nervous system before any verbal communication occurs.
Right, you get calm first.
By forcing attendees to ground themselves and share a moment of quiet, physical presence, they bypass the resume-swapping phase of dating entirely.
You aren't asking about spreadsheets.
No. And the data actually supports this methodology. The sources report Tantra boasts an astonishing 94.09% match rate.
That is absurdly high.
It is. By establishing an energetic connection first, the subsequent verbal conversation is rooted in genuine curiosity rather than just performative small talk.
So Tantra solves the problem of small talk. But how do you solve the problem of foundational values?
The deal breakers.
Right. You could have a great energetic connection with someone, only to find out 3 dates later that you have completely incompatible life goals regarding family or religion. This requires a different structural boundary, which brings us to a highly specialized niche in the sources called IYKYK dating.
Yes. IYKK dating is strict Christian speed dating.
Strict being the operative word.
This is an absolute masterclass in intent-based filtering. They are ruthlessly clear about their demographic boundaries right up front.
Their promotional material literally acts as a barricade. It explicitly states, skip church regularly, not for you. Don't want kids, not for you.
And by being exclusionary, they provide immense value to their target audience.
Because it saves time.
Exactly. If faith and family structure are your absolute non-negotiable deal breakers, going on a date with someone who doesn't share those pillars is a massive waste of time and emotional energy.
IYKYK dating places the deal breakers right on the invitation. So the shared structural boundary is the religion itself, allowing the actual dates to just focus on individual chemistry.
We see this same intent-based structuring utilized to create safe spaces for other specific communities, too.
Oh, right. Like the Battle and Brew event.
Yes. The sources highlight the Battle and Brew LGBTQ+ Pride Singles Mixer in Sandy Springs.
Okay, so how does that one work?
Well, Battle and Brew utilizes a shared hobby as the structural foundation. The event centers around video games and crafted cocktails.
So it creates a naturally relaxed, inclusive atmosphere.
Exactly. The gaming consoles act just like the bingo cards at Speed Mingle.
They externalize the focus.
Yes, the shared interest acts as an immediate authentic icebreaker. You're playing Mario Kart, you're having fun, and the pressure is off.
It's brilliant. Finally, we have to look at how technology can be used as a structural tool rather than a barrier.
Right, because we started by saying apps were the problem.
Exactly. But if Master Matchmakers relies entirely on human intuition, a company called City Swoon leans entirely into live technology. They market themselves as Speed Dating 2.0.
So how does that actually function in a physical room? Because if I show up to a City Soon event, what is the tech actually doing?
They use a patented algorithmic matching system live at the venue.
Why?
Live. So instead of sitting at a long table and sequentially moving down the line, chair by chair.
Which basically guarantees you will talk to people you have absolutely zero compatibility with.
Right. Instead of doing that, you log into their platform on your smartphone when you arrive at the bar.
Oh, so the algorithm knows exactly who else is in the room.
Exactly. It uses a live matching engine, similar to an ELO rating system, based on the preferences you inputted beforehand.
Okay, that's wild.
It pings your phone and literally directs you to find a specific person in the room for your next round. It dynamically optimizes the movements of everyone in the venue in real time,
Ensuring you only spend your limited time talking to individuals who actually meet your specific algorithmic criteria.
It's like having a digital wingman. And they claim a 95% attraction rate as a result of this real-time optimization.
95%.
I know. So we have Master Matchmakers, 888, Tantra, IYKYK, Battle and Brew, and City Swoon.
A huge variety.
Right. And while their methods vary wildly, from human intuition to live algorithms to breathing exercises, they all share the exact same underlying philosophy.
They pass the digital ghost test.
Yes, because they aren't just selling access to a public room. They are selling a heavily engineered, fully transparent methodology for connection.
They build a structural bridge to help people connect safely.
Whereas fly-by-night operations simply tear down the bridge and charge a toll to look at the river.
That is a great way to put it. Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis for anyone navigating this ecosystem right now.
You have the analytical tools now. You understand the vulnerability of the market, and you know how to identify the predators.
So, bottom line, do not let an unverified company manage your romantic future.
Please don't. Your time, your money, and honestly, your emotional energy are just too valuable to hand over to a digital ghost.
If you see an event listing on Eventbrite or Instagram, run it through the vetting playbook.
Demand digital real estate. Look for a real website.
Check their LinkedIn for actual human employees.
Look for transparent refund policies and strict privacy protections that guarantee you won't end up on some random content farm.
Call the venue manager. It takes 2 minutes.
Hey, is this event real? That's all you have to ask. And most importantly, only invest your time in organizations that actively engineer the physical and psychological environment for your success.
Rather than those who simply minimize their own overhead to make a quick buck off your hope.
Beautifully said. But as we wrap up this analysis, I want to leave you with a deeper philosophical dilemma that the sources sparked for me.
Oh, let's hear it.
We have spent this entire deep dive establishing that outsourcing our social logistics to highly structured, heavily vetted corporate ecosystems.
Like Speed Mingle or Master Matchmakers or City Swoon.
Right, that this is the optimal way to protect ourselves. It lowers our anxiety, it guarantees our safety, and it efficiently matches our specific preferences.
It is a perfectly engineered solution to a messy human problem.
It really is. It is the absolute safest way to operate in a chaotic market. But there is a hidden cost to perfect engineering.
Yeah.
If we become entirely reliant on these structured systems,
Mm-hmm.
if we require an algorithm to tell us who is mathematically compatible.
If we need a branded bingo card just to figure out what to say.
Yes. And if we demand a heavily curated, risk-free environment to even feel safe speaking to one another in public.
Did we risk permanently atrophying our own raw, messy human ability to connect?
Exactly. Have we demanded such perfect GPS tracking on our social lives, just like that $5 toothbrush, that we have forgotten how to handle the beautiful unpredictability of just striking up a serendipitous conversation with a stranger in line for coffee?
Wow. That is a staggering thought to end on. Have we outsourced the friction of human connections so completely that we've lost the ability to do it ourselves?
The perfectly engineered safety of the structured event versus the raw, spontaneous vulnerability of the real world.
That is definitely something for all of us to sit with.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these vetting skills, use the playbook, protect your peace, and go explore the Atlanta scene safely. We will see you next time.
Thank you for listening.
And watching on the new Speed Mingle TV network.